Hi everybody, thank you for coming to this new video, and we're going to elaborate on last week's video where we created a whole track using just labs. This week we're going to mix it, but we're going to mix it with the UC1 SSL console. The reason that we're going to do this is because I've had the UC1 for about a year now, and the reason I wanted to get it was because I learned on consoles. I like that tactile twiddling knobs, and all of the fun stuff. Yeah, those were my reasons essentially, and I just find that's a much quicker workflow. But today I just want to show you what it's all about and how I use it and how I think that the best way to actually approach using a console like this is. Yeah, let's take a little look. I'm not going to go into much detail in terms of how everything works and all of the fine details. I mean, in the past year that's been done to death, and I'm sure you've already seen a lot of videos like that, and if not, they are just 10 to the dozen. There's loads of them. So let's just take a little look now, and then we'll get into mixing the track, and then I'll just tell you about what these consoles do for me that other hardware units that control your DAW or parameters of your DAW don't do for me. Alright, so you can see here the consoles in front of me. Here is my hand in real time, and we've got an EQ on the side that's quite comprehensive. It's got the bus compressor in the middle. This is essentially a control unit that actually allows you to navigate around the other tracks in your DAW and in your project. A compressor at the top, a gate and expander. I honestly only use it for the gate, and then just general solo cut and fine-tuning parameters. Yeah, and some solo clear. That's really important actually, because I am so forgetful and I'll just change to something else. Yeah, I'll think, oh no, what have I soloed? So solo clear is just a lifesaver. Okay, so we're going to go over now in the DAW to the 360 software. So I just scrolled then to get to it, but on here you can see there's a 360 button. I can click that and it'll just go straight there. So that's a really nice feature, something that I didn't think I would use, but actually I use it all the time. This just looks scary, doesn't it? And all these channel strips, are doing exactly the same thing. So you've just got your EQ on the top, and then you've got your compression and everything all nicely laid out. But when I see anything like this, it just makes my eyes go funny. Disclaimer: I have ADHD and I have it's quite severe dyslexia, so I cannot read this. I can, however, read this. So I don't look at this at all. I look at this, and I can scroll through quite nicely. And the screen here you can see is moving as well. That's so distracting. So you can see these reverbs here. I've added them since last week just because I thought, let's just save some time. We're not only going to be using the SSL plugins to do this, we're going to be adding other things as well, but we're going to start off with the SSL stuff. Other than that, I just want to tell you what this does. So I've told you what all of these parameters are. This is digital, essentially. It's not hardware, or it is hardware, but it's just a glorified controller. Okay, so when I open up my little thing here, I'm on guitars there, and if I turn my high pass, you can see that turning. All that this is doing is controlling a plugin. So if you just liked the sound of the SSL plugins, by all means go and use them. They are fantastic. They really are. Especially this plugin, the normal channel strip. There is a 4K version which is slightly more coloured. That is based on their 4K console. I like this because I can add stuff on top of it and not worry that it's changing the sound that I initially fell in love with. I don't know whether that is a good or a bad thing. That's just a thing. But yeah, it's fantastic. But yeah, disclaimer, this is just controlling a plugin. Okay, so for that, just that alone, this is incredibly overpriced. Really, really overpriced. I think I paid £550 for this new, and was it worth it? Absolutely. It really was. It was so worth it. But it wasn't necessary. It was something that I got because I knew it would make me a lot quicker in how I mixed. And you'll see that now, because we're going to take 5 minutes and we're going to basically get the foundational mix done. Okay, and then I'm just going to add 1 or 2 things, you know, to master it and whatnot, and then it'll be up on Spotify on whatever in a week or so for you to listen to finished. Okay, right, let's just get on with it, shall we? I'm going to press play. I'll just stick this over here because we don't need it, but you might like to have a little look. And yeah, let's go. So we can keep on going on with this, but essentially what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn them on and off. Okay, and you can listen to just that few minutes of me being quiet and working my way around. This was also quite a good learning experience for me, because these are quite dynamically lacking samples. That meant that I was using the gain knob here more than I thought I would to bump up the level so that the bus compressor and the regular compressor would work. And that's just something you find in consoles, and it's just getting into that mentality. I've not had to do that before, so that was new for me, and it's probably down to the fact that this new update that they've had has included that as part of the workflow. Yeah, so let's take a little listen of with them soloed and not soloed. So this is not soloed. Okay, we're going to solo now. Things I want to do already. So if I just go down here to my kick, just bringing that out a little bit. So yeah, what we can do is we can just keep on going back and forth until we've got the right kind of mix. Now to make this actually a little bit more cohesive as a track, I'm going to add something I use all the time, which just helps that low end just to sit well, which is the TDR NOVA. So we'll stick it on the bass because we want the bass to actually duck. And then here on the side chain, we're going to go to the instruments, and there we go. So we'll get the kick on and we'll just press play. So the threshold on. With this is that we'll want a really fast attack. Oh, maybe not that fast. Maybe about 4 or 5 milliseconds will be fine. And the release time as well, we want it to come up pretty quick. So somewhere between 40 and 60 will probably be fine. Okay, and now on the brass as well, something I quite like to do just as kind of my sound, I guess, which is probably everybody else's sound as well, is grabbing this OTT, bringing down the depth, taking a little listen and just bringing it up until I like the sound. Okay, so I just brought the wet up to about 23, added the output gain out a little bit hotter, and now we are just going to go to the output and we are going to mix the output before then we put a clipper on it. This is it with and without. Okay, so that's me using it in practice and you know, working my way around, and there's lots of soloing and you know, just trying to be honest with yourself as well, I think, because you're not using the screen, and that is so freeing just because you're relying on these, and the only thing that you are relying on is this tiny screen here that's only telling you what you were mixing. So instead of saying, "Oh, well, I think I need this," you're actually going, "Well, I can't hear this," or "I can hear that a lot." And that's what this thing really excels at. It actually takes you away from the DAW and it pulls you back into what really matters. Okay, so yeah, that's it in practice. Now this is essentially what I think. So the UC1 on the surface looks like a typical controller that you would find everywhere else. However, what it allows you, or what it allows me to do, and what it could allow you to do, is to take my own head out of the track. So a lot of the time, you know, we're all YouTube buffs. We love going on, seeing other people's workflows, how other people work. And we get all this information, and it's often information overload, which means that when we are actually composing and we are writing, we think about all the things that we've seen other people do and all of the information that somebody else has given us, and then we try to apply it into into this music that we are trying to make because we liked what we heard somebody else do. And there's nothing wrong with that at all. It's a really, really good thing to admire other people's work. But what happens is that we actually just get information fatigue. And at that point, what we are doing is we are trying to apply something that might not necessarily work in our tracks. And that it paralyzes you as the creator, because what we're doing then is we're trying to formulate something that can't really be formulated. We need to use these. So if you're not that person, and you want to carry on as you are, that you don't really find that you take other people's ideas and try to incorporate them all the time, maybe that's just something you do every now and again, then maybe this isn't for you. I would say that this is something that has pushed my music to the next level, because it's just taken me out from all the things that I think I should do. And if that is you, then I think that's really good. It's something, ironically, that when I've worked in studios, I've not done. Yeah, so it's something that is, for me at least, encompassing in the home studio. And I think that's a danger that we can actually fall into, is just being consumed by the fact that we're isolated. So we try to get all this information in, and a lot of the time the output that we have doesn't correlate. So that's one of the things that actually this does really, really well. It can take you out of your own head. What else it does is it gives you a workflow that is reminiscent of a console. In that sense, fantastic. I would personally say there's nothing better than the workflow of a console, because you are constantly doing this, and it's fantastic. It really, really is, and it's very, very freeing, because you're limited. It sounds really, really counterintuitive, doesn't it? But you're limited in terms of how much you can actually do, because you've only got the console in front of you, and maybe a couple of externals that you're pulling in. And I say a couple because in terms of how many plugins that we all have, we have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of plugins, and even the top studios in the world, like now, will only have a couple of hundred external things that they'll use. People forget that, and it's something that we just need to be mindful of. So this thing does all of that really, really well. The downside is that actually the things that it works with are very limited. Okay, so these three plugins are the only ones that it works with at the moment. But you're going to be doing 97% of your mix with that. And that's incredible. That these are such powerful pieces of software, that can handle it really, really well. And they've got a sound. They really do have a sound. SSL haven't shortchanged you. And anything that you do on these is actually really transferable. So when you go to a console, it's not going to be too dissimilar. They don't sound terribly dissimilar to the originals, so I hear. But that's just speculation at this point. But it's probably true, at least from what I've heard. And as a shout out to the SSL plugins that I own, these are fantastic. The other really, really good one that I've used a lot is this saturator plugin. It just works. It really does. And this harmonics here, and the shape of the harmonics is really useful. And everything seems to have this dry wet mix on it from SSL. And that's just really helpful. You've seen that it was really, really important that I was using these gain knobs as I was going, because what that actually does is it allows me to push my gain into my compressor and then bring it down again. But I think that's the end here. If you really like this this UC1 gear, then great. I'm not affiliated at all. Yeah, If you already have one, please let me know what you think and whether you agree or disagree with me. Okay, so until next time, see you later.